Hey everybody, it's Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Can I get a 5x5? I played with a lot of buttons today. I know I shouldn't. I'm not proud of it, but I touched a lot of buttons here. So if you could maybe let me know that I'm doing all right. Jane Aldrich, good to see you. Little Miss Sunshine, how are you? Sandy Wandy, Chase the Heat. That's my brother Johnny Scoville. Miss Weedy Poo, how are you? James Collins Cares, looking good. Glad you're here. Just Joan, how are you? Good to look at this. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. Caitlin, how are you? Jane Aldrich, Bobby Jean. Motherbird, 5x5, very cool. Meredith Lynn, good to see you. Cooter by the Lake. Mandy Albert, AC. Noah Wright, what's happening, Noah? Carol Barnhart, DNV 1983. Missy Ann is here. Christy Hughes is here. Sweet Liberty, what's happening? Third Eye Open. Good to have you. Snake, what's up? Little Miss Sunshine. Humble and kind. It's Elemental. Well, all right. Hold on. I just missed somebody. I have a feeling I just missed somebody. Nurse Knott, how are you? You doing all right? You doing all right? Cat Damn Tiffy Tiff. There you are. Debbie Zito. Tiffy Tiff, I'm glad you're here. Saguaro Christmas. Debbie Blair. Lisa Trimble's here. Hey, Lisa Trimble. Long time no speak. Hope you're doing well. Becky Lynn, good to see you. Mad Wabbit. Gotta love the Mad Wabbit. And from Massachusetts, Miss G. Craig Rath, Narcoleptic Chihuahua Productions, Alicia. You know what, people? You can't fix stupid. We're going to give it hell today, but you can't fix stupid. You really can't. And that's just one of those things, man. Florence Southern, how are you? Franklin MC, good to see you. Auntie KK, Anita Card. Hey. Charlie Mullins. Old Faithful. I love you, my man. I really do. Don't say that stuff often, but I absolutely love Charlie Muffins. I really do. Krista Johnson, hello, how are you? You doing well? Hey, Sassy Stat, Mike and Conroe, good to see you. Monique, how are you? Truth Finder is here. Jamie Palmer, good to have you here. Auntie Social, Christy Kitts, Kevin Hawthorne, Lakeland, Florida. There you are, my man. Jack Court, Malcolm Chalmers, Johnny Scoville, help me out. Malcolm Chalmers. Oh, no, you know what it is? You know what it is? Quibs would have got it before you did. It's a men's shop out of the Pacific Northwest. Somebody get that movie reference. Somebody make my day. Karma Chameleon, good to see you. I was gonna hand that out one, but I'm gonna make somebody get that. SMG Infinity. Johnny Scoville might get it. It's not going to do us any good here, though. I drop jokes nobody gets, but you know what? It keeps me laughing. Run the World, good to see you. Lisa, no way. No way. Layla. Hey, Layla. Alex D. Chalmers Big and Tall shops. It's a chain out of the Pacific Northwest. Great stuff, but it's not going to do us any good at this time. Pennies for the Mod Squad. Well, thank you so much. The not just the Mod Squad, the greatest Mod Squad on the earth, people. Best Mod Squad ever. And you got to be around here. Sarah Bowman, how are you? So you get my jokes sometimes. This is a reference from a movie in the 80s. It was one of the movies from the greatest director of all of the 80s. He brought us such classics as Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a good one. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Home Alone, right? I think Home Alone. Maybe not. You do get all of them? Okay, well, since you got it, and my girl is under the weather. If not, she would have already got it. But that is from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. John Hughes actually is the one that I'm quoting in this. This is a John Hughes movie. It is a John Hughes movie. It was Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a John Hughes film. And when they're trying to come up with credit cards, he's like, "You got any credit cards?" He says, "I got one for Chalmers Big and Tall shops." It's a whole chain in the Pacific Northwest. Great clothing. It's not going to do us any good here now. All right, now that I've crapped away the intro, Run the World, good to see you. Tommy on the stream, Johnny in the comments. It's 1.5 doses of Scoville. Oh. Yeah, so let me bring you up to speed a little bit on everything that's going on around here. First of all, everybody's sick. Quibbs got through her show and was doing pretty well with it, and then she came in to see me, and now she's a wreck. She's really not. Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, all great films. Yeah, I mean, Hughes was just amazing. So, and my back is toast. This is the first time I've actually been really comfortable all day long, is sitting right here. We had to take Hux to the to urgent care today because he's sick as hell, and I fear that Quibbs may be catching it. You watch it every Christmas season. Which one are you watching? All of those films are fantastic, but you really need to, they're trying to sneak films in as part of this Christmas deal. I promise you I'll get to the stupid part. But we're going to let people come. I got to kill time until everyone shows up, or we bury the lead and then we do it all over again. You know what? Screw it. We'll just do it. Purple Groovy, good to see you. Today, I get up at about 4 o'clock in the morning every morning, right? And I start looking through anything that is out on the internet having anything to do with what we're talking about. I also look for any stories that are popping up. By the way, to prove my point, that ugly story that we did in the last video that I did, I want you to watch the views that gets compared to the other videos, right? And you can tell me if it's that we can't stomach hearing it, because I believe that that's probably the case. Or do they kill it? Do they not push it, right? Because that very well could be it as well. Jigsaw, good to see you. But let's get on to this stupid. So I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I start looking at all of the stuff that I can that is relative, right? And there's actually quite a bit. Thank you, Shadow Woman. There's actually quite a bit of stuff every morning that you got to check. So there are a lot of it is just absolute BS rumors, right? So there'll be 10 videos that say something to the effect of, he fired his lawyer, or the lawyer sided with Jay-Z and it's been tossed out. You'll see tons of videos where it says his lawsuit has been tossed out of court. It hasn't been. Right. But you learn how to weed through them. You learn how to look at the channels and figure out whether or not they're one of those AI generated BS channels or whether they're a real one. Then you start going with stuff that's live, like what I'm doing right now, because you're less likely to get AI if you're listening to a human being that's sitting there. So I started saving, right, all of the different people that do what I do and talk about what I talk about so that I can go and visit them, right? See what's going on, see if they're working any angles I'm not, that kind of thing, right? Kind of makes sense for what I do for a living. So no joke whatsoever, I counted in one day 12, right, people who do live content. And the gist, it may not have been what their thumbnail was about, but when they actually started to talk and get into it, the recurring theme in all of these is quite simply this. If any of these things were real, right, these men and women would have come forward a long time ago, right? If there was any truth whatsoever to any of the allegations that these people are making, you would think that maybe a cow threw that door open the way it just came busting in. She's a big girl. She is a great animal, but she will kick a door in like a cop. I mean, for real. If kid wants to come in, she's kicking the door in. So all of these guys are coming on and talking about how, you know what, if this was real, if there was real trauma there, and if this had really happened, then these people obviously would have come forward a long time ago. This is one of the hardest things in the world to try to deal with. And I'm catching some of these people on the replay crew. Some of these people I'm catching live, and I want to just pop up a super chat and just say, man, oh man, right? They still make you. It's 2025, man. Your model has been discontinued. You really need to get your life together. But you cannot fix stupid. Do you know how long you hear me quote this all the time? 63% of SA and R victims will not report it in their lifetime. They'll never, ever tell anybody. It's never going to be reported. They might confide in a friend or something along those lines, but to bring it to authority of any way, of any kind, never happens, right? Zero, that's it. It's a lock. They're not going to say a word, nothing. Do you know how long that took me to figure out? About 5 seconds of research time. So before you say something stupid, why don't you just Google it? You can even ask the little assistant's help, right? Say her name. And then say, what percentage of people who are SA'd or R'd report it? Just little silly things like that so that you don't sound like a caveman. And by the way, or a cave woman. Yeah, believe it or not. I get these comments are put up by men and women. And I don't know if they're paid off. I really don't. Because you can't believe that. right? Please tell me we're all on the same page. Put a 3 in the chat if you realize that every single person's trauma is different, right? All of these people, people pop up in the comment section that said, I was S8, I reported it 4 days after it happened. Good for you, man. Fantastic. I bet you had parents that talked to you and said, hey, if something like this happens, no matter what, it's not your fault. If anybody ever does anything like this to you, you run to us and you tell us. There are people whose parents were able to instill that and really hammer it into them. Unfortunately, right, most people assume that maybe that's not the world we have to live in. And 10 or 15 years ago, 20 or 30 years ago, 40 or 50 years ago, right, it was a different world. These days, these are the kind of conversations that parents have to have with kids, because these days, people can sneak into your kid's bedroom without having to actually enter your kid's bedroom. We live in a completely different world, and now people have these kind of conversations, but we didn't used to, right? This was the crime that people didn't report. By the way, that's just one form of stupid. Here's another one. Nobody with that much money would risk doing this kind of thing. Do you realize this is a narrative? I crap you not. They're way too rich to do this kind of stuff. This is gaining traction. These are people out there that are saying this crap. Now, look, if you got that kind of money, you hire hookers. The hookers come out and do this. You would never, ever do this kind of stuff. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Pay attention real closely, right? We got to go over this again, and we're probably going to have to do this. Hey, Miss Dragon, good to see you. We're probably going to have to do this every couple of days. R word and SA has nothing to do with attraction. It's not because they look at someone and go, damn, she's hot. None of that happens. These are sick individuals that have a desire to dominate, that have a desire to humiliate, that have a desire to hurt, right? Here's the thing. I really want you guys to focus on this. Psychic vampirism, right? We've all watched vampire movies. We've all probably read vampire books, right? Dracula buries his fangs in your neck, right? They go out and they feed, and they leave a trail of bodies in their wakes of people whose souls have been stolen. Okay, what Diddy and his fellow cretins are doing is the exact same thing. Believe that. And this may sound bizarre, and you may be thinking that I ought to have on a tinfoil hat and all that crap, right? This is Coast to Coast AM. But make no mistake, what these people are doing is feeding off of the energy of the innocent. For real, of the innocent. They can't do this with people that are willing. You understand? The idea is that they're making someone do something they don't want to do. Even the consensual stuff that they're doing has to involve someone doing something they don't want to do, like, all right, I'll bend over because I really want a $50 million record deal, right? I'm going to hit my knees and do something that I never, ever, ever was born to do or had any desire to do. Wasn't a part of who I am. It's not part of my orientation, right? I don't have any desire to do that. It goes against everything I believe in as in terms of desire. I got nothing against people that desire anything consensually. But to say to somebody that likes guys, I need you to be with a woman, is a pretty sick thing. And for someone who likes women to say, hey, I'm going to need you to do this with me, as a dude. This is the sickest shit on planet Earth. And it's got nothing to do with sex. This was a business model. That's why this thing is being charged as a RICO. Get it? This was a business model, just like what Epstein did, right? And guess what? If we don't have our A game on, pay attention, right? Can't fix stupid. I've said this I don't know how many times, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for selling underage children to nobody. And if we're not lucky, right, we're going to get another person who's in there because human T, you're bringing people across the border to traffic them, yeah? Does that make sense? Okay, well, R. Kelly got hit with that too, didn't he? So who is he selling them to? If you're charging with trafficking, doesn't there have to be somebody on the other end? Maybe I'm ignorant as hell. I'll be willing to chalk that up. For real, maybe I am. But it seems to me if I'm selling drugs, there needs to be somebody buying them. And if I'm trafficking human beings, doesn't there need to be somebody buying them? Because if Diddy ends up being the third case to come down the pike where people are selling folks to nobody, then we really got a problem. 2025 has got to be the year of the John, right? Or maybe the John and the Jane. But we need to know who's buying this stuff. Is it me? Okay, I'll give you that. Who was she supplying to? I'll chalk that up. Ghislaine was Jeffrey's boss, not the other way around. She was supplying. Okay. But she was supplying to somebody, right? We don't have one name of somebody that was paying for that. We'd like to, right? We'd like to send him to a nasty prison yard. Holy hell, man. They really managed. Well, Jeffrey wasn't the only customer there, man, right? We know that there was a bunch of people flying in and out of that island for the purpose, right, of like Chomo vacations. This is a real deal too, right? I mean, people do this to other countries. They go to places like like Thailand, right? They go to places that, in Asia where they can, places in South America as well, right? We talked about the jesters going down for these fishing trips where they want to hire 15-year-olds to clean the boat, right? There are people out there giving these they're handing money over, right, for what is being trafficked. This is a business. That is what is being alleged by the government. This is a business that is designed to, according to them, fulfill his sick fantasies. If that's where this case goes, it'll be nice to see him get convicted, but I don't think this is about this dude's sick fantasies. I think this is about, very much like Epstein was, this is about people. They put this guy in place to get video. They put this guy in place to make money, to find artists that weren't going to get paid. Artists weren't getting paid. How do you keep an artist, right, from taking you to court and going, I want every single penny you owe me? Yeah, I got a pretty rowdy video your mom might want to watch with you and 3 other guys. Why don't you get back in the studio and make 3 more records and shut up? I'm not kidding. It's how these dudes end up, broke after cranking out all of these albums, right? All of this money, these tours, the merchandise, all that. Where's all the money? Okay? In Sean Diddy's house, man. Right? Diddy paid for some sick property. It's going to be a really ugly day if this ends up just being Diddy, right? Charged with human tea. And once again, trafficking to nobody. Just to himself. Okay, that's what happened with Cassie. Legit, right? Cassie was being trafficked for himself. I guarantee you there's more than that, right? Ain't no party like a Diddy party, right? Ain't no party like a Diddy party. What do you think he meant by that? Everybody knows what he meant by that. And we knew what he meant by that before we knew the name of it, right? We watched the Kardashians do on their silly show and talk about how, I went to a Diddy party last night and everybody there was bare ass naked, including Bieber. So she started rattling off names. Everybody there naked. So we had a pretty good idea what was going on, didn't we? We just didn't know they were called freak offs. But Diddy would go on talk shows and talk to you about how he gets the room sexied up ahead of time, right? Got a plan. Told the whole world about it. Went on, right? This clip of film is now famous, but he went on an award show. We're here for your souls. We decide everything. We decide what's cool, what you're going to wear, how you're going to wear it, if you sag your pants, what your kids listen to, in our faces. You can't fix stupid. If you're out there today, honest to God, if you're out there today and it doesn't make sense to you why some of these people waited as long as they did, this guy, right? This guy allegedly, 19 minutes, 17 seconds in. This guy allegedly has left a trail of bodies. He also has allegedly threatened all of these people that claim to be victims. He doesn't just assault these people. He then goes, give it a try, right? Go talk to the authorities and see what happens. And then he says something about being really powerful or having enough money or being famous or he's that dude. And you know what? He is. Or Busby's completely full of crap. But at that Busby press conference, he said, you're going to be shocked at how many of these people went to the hospital, how many of these people went to the cops. So obviously, he could do whatever he wanted to make it go away. Why didn't these people come forward? Some of them did. But this stupid that I'm trying to fix, right? Now I'm going on 2 years of this stupid. When Danny Masterson was getting ready to go for sentencing, and I was weighing in on that, and that was the subject of the day. I had people reaching out and going, how come these girls waited this long to come forward? They didn't. They reported it immediately after it happened. But they didn't report it to the cops because that's not how Scientology rolls. But those women reported this. They didn't wait decades. They did wait decades to report it to the cops because a Scientologist doesn't report to the cops ever, right? Ever. But they went and reported within their little framework as soon as it happened. Can't fix stupid. Hey, Tommy, my coworker was charged with an NC status crime. I'm a big fan of innocent till proven guilty. How do I handle interaction with him if I see him in public? No, you don't have to be sorry. Here's the thing. I'm a big fan of innocent until proven guilty as well. There's a crew member on the lifeboat that wrote me an email that sounded almost exactly like this. It was a guy, and he said, I have to work on the line, right? Every day, long days, with a dude that's accused of a pretty heinous crime. And the company's stance was, we're not firing this dude until he gets convicted of something. And, he was out on bail and they let him keep his job. And the person said to me, I want NC stands for nothing coming, abundantly empowered. NC status. You got nothing coming. This person did something to a kid. Means you got nothing coming, right? Or allegedly, this person has been accused of doing something to a kid. And some of these allegations turn out not to be true. But I'll tell you something. I think in this day and age that they're getting pretty good at vetting this stuff, right? They're getting pretty good at vetting this stuff. And then there's these weird ages and weird, there are things that make this tough, right? If it happens to be something where, an individual is 4 years older than somebody, or it's one of those weird things. But if this is a young child and an adult, I'd give that person a wide berth. Kids don't tend to make up stuff like that, right? So I would give the person a wide berth. If I had to deal with them, I would be respectful, right? But this is the same advice I gave to the other gentleman who was a very close friend of mine, a really good dude. And I said, and you just got to kind of deal with that until the person gets convicted. And then he called me one day and said, hey, they just told him to pack his you-know-what and get out because he was convicted. Right. And he's got a little bit of time to get his affairs in order or whatever, but fired, get out. Right. There are people who are found not guilty. And I understand it's a tough thing. Right. Do you want to give P. Diddy the presumption of innocence? I don't. Sorry. Let the court do that. For real. Let the court do that. The 12 people that sit in that box. Right. They're not going to have access to the amount of time that we've had to look at this. I mean, they're going to have evidence we can't see, but just with what's out there and what we've all researched, I don't know, a lot of smoke there, man. A lot of smoke there. I think that cat's guilty. I do. And I feel really confident, right, that Sean Carter ain't worth a fart as a human being. The way he is handling the paternity of his son or alleged son, whatever, knock it out. Go over there and open your mouth. Let him swab the inside of your mouth. Can't do that, right? Because his mom was 16. And that makes you a lowlife, is what that makes you, right? If you're an adult knocking up 16-year-old girls, you're a lowlife. Any other reason? Oh, well, if he does this, it's going to be a cascade, right? He's going to have to do this for every other person. You should have to do it for every person that you slept with who then claims that the baby might be yours. Yeah, you should probably have to just open your mouth and let him swab that every time that happens. Sorry. I mean, you got rights to privacy and all that stuff. That kid's got a right to a father. How hard could this be? Go in there and swab his cheek. And you go, look, you said you didn't own land in New Jersey. That takes about 8 minutes to chase down, right? The courts bought it. Any jackass with a computer can find out you own land in Jersey. This has just been dirty from Jump Street. When people start denying stuff that are in your face obvious, maybe you want to look at everything else they say, right? Can't fix stupid. I promise you. And then some common sense stuff, people. Honestly, some common sense stuff. Listen, there is a process through this trial. I crap you not. I get 2 emails a day from people that say, this thing ain't going to trial. You're an idiot. Like, tell me straight up, I'm dumb. If this was real, we'd already know that there were other people involved. It's a RICO case with one person. Man, this is how it goes down. They don't charge the entire group on day one. That's what that letter they're going to deliver on the 1st of February is about. Capiche? You charge the head of the snake, right? That way, you can start talking to the body of the snake. You can start bringing people in and doing that fun-fed thing where they sit you down and go, would you like to be a defendant or would you like to be a witness? because those are your options. Now, if you choose witness, you're probably going to get about 10 years of probation in the feds, which is invasive like you would not believe, right? It's going to make you miserable, but it'll keep you out of the joint. And in exchange for that, you're going to testify against everybody else on this list. And that's how they do it. They build that big ass pyramid, and then they start seeing which person is willing to testify against every other person. It gets ugly. I want to tell you something. Since they got kicked those doors in, right? Maybe even before, they were lining people up. What did they say? 300 people have gone through the grand jury already? 300. Now look, Courtney Burgess was one of those. So not all 300 of these are going to have bombshells. Some of them are just going to be people that are kind of ancillary and get talked about a lot, right? But some of the names that have allegedly gone up there, can't verify them, but there's some wild names that have allegedly gone up there. Yeah, man. The NC status thing is tough, Buddhist beer. I have a very difficult time, as on the bright side, I mean, at work, you could probably try to avoid the person. This is what happens to convicts. That feeling you feel right now, except when they bring somebody into our place of work, we also live there. And the person that they're bringing in has been adjudicated, right? They're trying to drop someone in there, and we know they're guilty of what they have been accused of. Linus Lou says, question. Hey. 2 questions. Why do dealers want to kill people? It isn't the dealer necessarily, in my opinion, that wants to kill people, right? It's that big, huge country that doesn't like us, that is sending over all of this fent. Somebody asked a great question earlier, too. They said, from what I understand, right, there's Americans who smuggle all this stuff across the border. And for the most part, they really try to use Americans to smuggle this stuff across the border for obvious freaking reasons, right? You think you're going to catch more crap coming across the Canadian border into the United States as a white American, right? I promise you are. I promise you. They're going to look at your Cadillac a lot less. They're going to look at your mobile home a lot less. It's just the way it is, right? They're going to assume you're from the U.S. and you were vacationing down there. It's usually a lot less BS. So, yeah, they try to pay, and it's not hard to find somebody like me, right? A person that probably with a haircut and a decent outfit could look like anything that, but I had a drug habit. If you said to me, I just need you to drive this across the border and I'm going to give you, say, a half a pound of heroin, you had me at half a pound of heroin. Whatever the hell else they wanted me to do, I promise you I'd have driven that across that border. I promise. So they're not hard to find mules to do this. So, but that is the truth. So honestly, okay, in the old days, a dealer in a big city like New York, they used to sell powder there, right? They don't sell tar. It tends to be powdered H, and it comes in what they call a stamp. And the reason they call that is it's like a plasticine fold that holds the chemical inside it. And then there'll be a stamp on the outside of it. And that stamp is so that the junkie can identify the stuff on the street. And if one supply is better than another, right? And it's called cherry bomb, you can say, hey, man, I want the cherry bomb. You got that stuff? That's the stuff I want. Now, how do they find out the cherry bomb stuff is good? Because they hear on the news that 4 people overdosed and died on it. And as stupid as that sounds, a real junkie's going to go, I ain't going to overdose on it, but I want the strongest stuff on the street, right? It's not going to kill me because of how I do it. Like every junkie in their head is the person that is never going to overdose. Everyone else will because they're stupid. But that junkie is thinking, I made 3 decades, man. I know what I'm doing. I want the strongest stuff on the street. So there used to be a vested interest in a couple of your customers dying. However, right, each batch, because it made the name brand better. Disgusting, yeah, but true. Now, you wouldn't do this in a small town because if 2 people die, they're going to find out who the hell sold it to them. But in a big city, a couple of deaths from people shooting smack, that's just nightly business. For real, I'm not being disrespectful, right? Every one of my friends happens to be addicted to, or all my friends did. None of them are around. When I was in Rhode Island, I was 25. That was 3-way. I lost my virginity. I grew up with the belief that you waited until marriage. Wow. So when you were R-worded, there you go. When I was R-worded, I was 25. That was the way I lost my virginity. I grew up with the belief that you waited until marriage. So I also felt like immediately damaged goods. The man was a pastor, so my faith is shot. You know what? I'm going to do a show sometime where I talk about the people that the people that victimized me, because I understand the losing your faith in whatever, right? In this particular case, in religion or whatever. Separate God from religion. Everybody needs to do this. Separate God from religion, right? If you don't believe in a God, that's fine. But if you happen to believe in a God, even if you don't want to believe in a God, that's fine. But as you don't believe in that God, separate the God you don't believe in from religion, right? Religion is a construct, I promise you, of men. If there's a God, and I do believe there is, right? 100%. Personally, I do. But he's not a fan of religion either. We created that. And we're not worth a fart at anything we create. We've never been any good at it, right? We're not. And the God that I'm a fan of, he wasn't a fan of religion either. In fact, you can look that up. So let me see here. Hey, Tommy, did he already have a bullseye on him? Oh, yeah. No, he has a bullseye on him. He absolutely has a bullseye on him. Or is he safe until he's adjudicated? No, he's got a bullseye on him instantly. When you walk in the door, if you're charged with an effed up charge, you walk into a holding facility and you're charged with 3 counts of something with a minor, right? You're guilty. There's nobody in that building that's going, well, until they prove him guilty, we're going to cut him some slack. Doesn't work that way. And it should, right? I mean, honestly, it should. It doesn't. That dude's guilty. All right. Until the trial proves him innocent, he's guilty and they're going to go after him. But this dude's a star and he's not in a real unit, right? They keep saying he's in general population. He's not in general population, right? This dude ain't going to make it in general population. No, nor will anybody else with that paperwork. Now, he can buy a lot of protection because the dude's got a lot of money, but that's a process that any convict will tell you. It gets real hard to maintain. It gets really, really hard to maintain because every month, one more person wants to get paid. And if you paid 2 people, you're going to pay 4. And if you paid 4, you're going to pay 6 because at some point you have to either pay that 45th person or you got to draw a line in the sand and go, I ain't paying you. And if you start doing that, I'm not paying you thing, let's say there are 50 guys you're paying on the yard and you tell the 51st dude, I'm not paying you. He's going to go and get the 1,250 guys on the yard that aren't getting paid and go, you cool with this dude walking this yard? Because these 50 clowns are getting free commissary. We got to live with a freak. It gets really difficult unless you're ready to pay off the entire yard. And even if you are ready to pay off the entire yard, there's going to be some solid convicts, even on a dropout yard. There are going to be solid convicts. There are guys who are on that yard by accident. You think that every decision to ruin someone's prison career is done justly? There's all this politics that goes on, right? So there's a guy on a yard today, and he's a solid peckerwood, right? Solid white guy. He's not done anything wrong ever in the system. Yeah, he probably had a drug habit, but he hasn't done it in years or whatever. But he lent some money to a guy on his yard, another solid white dude. But that solid white dude owes him $5,000, and the juice, right, or the vig is running. So every single week he doesn't pay, there's 20% or whatever getting put on it. And this debt's getting huge. It's getting scary. That guy might just decide to drop a kite on this fool, right? Or maybe he even goes in and sits down and talks to a counselor and says, hey, you know that guy Mikey? They're going to kill him. What? Yeah, I'm telling you right now, man. You know I'm a validated gang member, right? He's greenlit. I'm telling you right now, man, this guy's greenlit. He's going to be dead by Friday. Only reason I'm telling you this is because I like the dude, man. I don't want to see this dude dead. This is my homeboy. Then they pull that guy in and they go, guess what? Your gang has greenlit you. What? Yeah, your gang, there's a green light on your ass. And the next thing you know, this dude's in protective custody. He didn't do anything wrong, right? And he's been living like a convict, meaning he ain't going to walk a yard with a weirdo. He's been living that life for 30 years, 20 years or whatever. And now because some dude wants him off a yard, this happens. Right? Guys politic to get rid of somebody. Maybe the guy's got too much juice with the shot collar or whatever. There's all of this politicking going on. But that dude ends up on a yard with somebody that's paying 50 people there. When they go up and go, yeah, make us a list of $200, man. This guy gives you $200 a month. He gives to everybody. That dude's going to go, no, that ain't worth $200 to me. This guy hurt kids. Man, he can give me $200,000 a month. I ain't living in the same. You understand? This is their home. A lot of these dudes are doing life. To me, that was a prison cell. Guys would say, hey, man, I got to run up to my house. Like we'd be getting ready to play cards. Let me run up to my house and get some money. I used to say, dude, don't call that shit your house, man. Don't call that your house. That's a prison cell. But if you're doing life, that's your house. And they don't want to be living around freaks that hurt kids. And you know what? They shouldn't have to. They really should. It's bad enough you give up your life, right? You got to spend the rest of your life behind bars. You're not going to get steak. You're not going to get women. You're not going to get women. You're not going to get a cat. Cats and women. I could live without steak. Cats and women would be tough, though. Well, this woman. For everyone who needs or wants them, wands. Thank you, Lisa Trimble. That's awesome. And you know what? It's right after the holidays. You can tell the truth. A lot of you are getting that for a lot of people, the holidays are tough. We talk about this all the time, right? But for some people, the holidays are easy. And for those who have an easy holiday, they get a hangover when the holiday's over, right? They start feeling a little postpartum. It's just a good time to be connecting, right? Good time to be connecting. Marcy, how are you? Good to see you. Russ. There you are. That's my man. Russ will be here tomorrow night, folks. You're going to want to watch that. It's going to be an important show. So once again, back to the subject matter at hand. In this next year, right, there's going to be so much stupid, it's going to be hard to wrap your brain around. Let me tell you something else. I watched a massive channel this morning, massive channel, that said that they were looking forward to watching every minute of the Diddy trial on camera. If you have not got this memo yet, you shouldn't be allowed to make YouTube videos about this. The federal government is not going to allow a camera in a courtroom, not for Diddy, not for anybody else. They don't do it. It's a policy, and I don't see it changing, right? The feds do things differently than the state. It's not the same. I promise you it's not. And I don't think they like people looking over their shoulder. It's not that you can't read. It's not that you can't read the transcripts and do all that crap, because you absolutely can, but it's not the same, right? The tenor of it. A federal court is a terrifying place. It is the most intimidating thing on planet Earth. I'm not kidding. And I've hopped out of airplanes and done all the other stupid stuff you can do to really get your adrenaline pumping. But you want to feel some adrenaline, you got to sit in that little ass chair and look up at Mount Everest, because that's how they build this thing, right? The judge, I'm not kidding. His feet have got to be 6 feet above your head, right? With this big ass desk, and he's looking down from the bench, and it's just, and then they call it out, right? The court clerk stands up and says, the United States of America versus Tommy G. Scoville. And you go, yeah, I don't know, we have a chance. So it's me against the U.S., right? This country that spends $6 million a minute that it doesn't have. We're blowing $6 million a minute we don't have. Think they're worried about fighting me, right? Whatever it costs, right? No problem. And I got a lawyer that wants to charge me $750 an hour, right? And when he gets there, he can't even get my first name right. Well, Jamie Palmer, can we get some ones for Jamie Palmer? Tommy mentioned needing some ones earlier. My lady bits are revolting and making my cycles closer together. It's freaked me out enough to make me make an appointment with a lady doc on February 3rd. I'm nervous. Well, you know what? Can we get some ones, people? With some thoughts and prayers, positive, Care Bear crap off of your tummy, right? Whatever you send out into the world, can we do that for Jamie Palmer? As a rule of thumb, if I can say lady bits in a sentence, I try to, right? But I also happen to really be a huge fan of Jamie Palmer. But lady bits, I mean, how often can you work lady bits into a sentence on YouTube without having people say, what a weirdo? Renee B says, have you heard of anyone having a cat in prison? Yeah. My son wrote me he had a cat. I thought he was manic and hallucinating. Looked at stories ex-inmates from his facility put online. It's for real. No, absolutely. In fact, I've told this story before. I was in the state facility. I got moved around a couple of times. Kept failing drug tests. I was not quite ready to get sober. So I started out in this really cushy drug program, and then I ended up at, hey, Lucinda, I ended up at a place called Nevada State Prison, NSP. And NSP was ugly. It was one of the oldest prisons that was still operating in the United States, and it opened in 18-something. Like Jesse James had done time there and shit. It was really, really an old, disgusting prison. But they had a cell house. It was only one part of the prison was a cell house. The rest of it were all broken up into units, right? More modern. But the old cell house, which is the part of the prison that was built in the 1850s, the front of all of the cell doors are actually cells. The sides were not, but the front were bars. And they had a door that was open there all the time, and cats would come in. So you could buy little tuna packets. They're not cans inside because you can cut some with a can or whatever. But they have these little packets of tuna, and guys would buy them and feed the cats. And these feral cats would come and they would adopt an inmate. And it was the greatest thing in the world. It really was. And then they brought in a female warden. And guys had musical instruments. Guys would sit in the cell house and play guitar, and everybody got along. It was actually really a cool place to be. And I was probably the youngest dude there. There was a dude, just keeping it real, I could hit this guy's vein, right? This dude was the guy that kind of ran the entire cell house, was a junkie. And he was talking about how he's like, I just skin pop. And he was talking about, which means you don't hit a vein, you just put it into your skin, and it eventually gets into your system, but you don't feel a rush or anything like that. And he was doing speedballs, which you never want to put in your skin. It's just going to cause infections, and it's all bad. And I said, you skin pop speedballs? And he's like, yeah, I can't hit a vein, dude. I said, man, what a waste of money and time. I'm like, you must get a ton of abscesses and infections. He's like, yeah, I do. And I looked at him and I go, I can hit that one on your neck. I'm like, I guarantee. I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, I can hit that. And he's like, if you try to hit that and miss, he's like, I swear to God, I will kill you. And I'm like, how old's the binky? He had syringes that were, binkies are a very old syringe that gets put back together. It looks like a pen and it works like an eyedropper. It's totally different than this. He goes, no, I got syringes in packages. It's like, I got brand new syringes. I was like, so I went, and I'm just visiting. I'm just in this guy's unit. I went, pow, hit him, done. And he goes, hey man, do you like where you live? And I go, no, I live in prison. He's like, would you rather move into the cell house? He's like, I'll get you over here. He's like, you just got to do this every morning. I was like, sure. Which is how I got in there, because everybody else that was in there was old. So it was really kind of laid back. But when this woman took over, she got rid of all the musical instruments. There was like 5 things. We had anything that was old and was getting thrown out back in the day. If you said to them, can I have that for my cell? Honestly, there were guys that had rugs in their cell. There were guys that had end tables and lamps and stuff in the old cell house. But there was never any fights. There was never any issues. So all this was allowed to stay forever. And this woman came in and took everything, stripped all the cells down to nothing. And everybody just put up with it. She took the instruments, then she shut that door, right? Wouldn't let the cats come in and out. So everybody lost their cats, and they started burning this thing to the ground. I'm not kidding you, man. They started lighting toilet paper on fire and throwing it through you can really trash a place if you're in a cell house, because you can throw whatever you want through those cell doors. You can throw feces and urine and all kinds of bad stuff. And these guys were ready literally to take the foundation off of this place. And the shot caller, she came in and was trying to calm everything down. And the shot caller said, you going to open that door so we can get our cats back? And she said, no, we're not going to allow any cats inside the building. He said, then we're going to keep doing this until you bring in the National Guard. Right. And he was just serious as cancer. And eventually they said, why don't we just kick that door back open and let the cats back in? And everything got mellow. But yeah, it has an effect on people. I'm not joking you. This may sound stupid to a lot of people, but one of the things that I missed most when I was locked up inside was animals. It really was. You know what? That was a state prison, not a federal prison. Way different than, we had TVs in our cells. You could make a bag of wine, tie up all the ingredients for a bag of wine and let it ferment or whatever, and you could hang it from the bars on the cell house. The cops didn't care because everybody there was old, right? The problem isn't that people drink. It's that people drink and then get into fights and stab each other and act stupid, right? Honestly, cops don't care if people drink. It's like at ADX. If you're at ADX Florence, on the commissary list, you can buy sugar. There's nowhere else on planet Earth in prison that's going to sell you sugar, because you can take sugar, put it into anything, and make wine out of it, right? Anything fermenting, you feed it sugar and you're going to get wine. If you feed it enough sugar, you're going to get brandy. So they don't sell sugar, but you're in solitary confinement. Who the hell are you going to beat up? They'll sell you 5 pounds a week if you want, right? What the hell are you going to? You get drunk alone. They don't care. It's all about stopping violence. It's not just to keep you. Animals are great therapy. And, anytime this gets brought up, people go, what about the animals? What if these people hurt the animals? I don't think you got any idea what the inside of a prison is like. If somebody inside a prison hurt an animal, not only would they kill him, it would be horrific. It would be horrific. They would make it take days. There's a thing between convicts and animals that can't be explained. Sheridan, Oregon. This is a true story. The prison in Sheridan, Oregon, right before I got there, it's not like any other prison you've ever seen. They've got massive trees on the yard, right? It looks like a summer camp for bad people. They got huge trees and all. It's just beautiful. But the biggest tree on the entire prison campus started to push up the sidewalk, right, in a couple of different places. So they decided in their infinite wisdom they would cut down the tree, which meant locking down the yard and all that. Well, the fellas caught wind of this, and an old man who had been there a long time said, the chipmunks in that tree, if you cut that tree down, you're going to displace the chipmunks, right? And I'm going to start killing cops here if you displace the, no joke, right? So they cut the tree down. This dude freaks out so bad that he begins to destroy his cell, and he manages to take apart a federal bunk bed. And if you've ever seen one of these, it's angle iron, right? So it's two pieces of steel on a 90-degree angle, right? That's what makes up the four posts of the bed. And they weld it. And they're not spot welding this. They're putting fat, huge beads on it. But if you got nothing but time and you're really pissed off, you can break anything. So this dude breaks the bed, and then he starts shattering. They have toilets at Sheridan that are made of porcelain. They're not metal toilets. They're not metal sinks. They've got mirrors that are made of glass. So this dude trashes the entire inside of the cell until there's nothing left. He has obliterated it. And they come in with like 4 dudes, right, in front, shock shields, all that, to do a cell extraction, get this dude out. This guy had a piece of porcelain in his hand, and he got the captain from his ear all the way down across his neck. And this dude was still pink when I saw him, but it's the most hideous scar. How this dude didn't die, he has the gnarliest looking scar you've ever seen, this cop. And the old man was not there anymore by the time I got there. He had been shipped, but apparently he was in his mid-60s. Man, you don't want to piss off a convict about animals. And when I was in the county jail, there was a case that made the news, and I'm not going to give you the details because everybody here happens to be like me, and you don't want to hear the details, but it had to do with animals, and it was abusive. And when this guy hit the county jail, like I remember a dude saying, he's doing this one at the table. We're all playing poker, and he's doing this one. I said, you praying for aces? He goes, I'm praying, because the TV was on. He goes, I'm praying that dude comes to this unit. He's like, that's what I'm praying. It was on the news. He's like, I'm just praying that dude comes to this unit. And it was frightening. It really was. Dude had a look on his face like, I didn't want to ask him exactly what he was going to do. But he was serious about it. Wharton Fistle, what's happening, my brother? Good to see you, Wharton. Here's the other thing, folks. Please watch a video before you leave a friggin' comment on it, right? And how about listening to everything? Do you know, if you caught the last video I did, I have gotten 3 emails from people that said, I can't believe you said that a straight person wouldn't do that. What I said was, if it was a married couple, it would have been a man and a woman, meaning only one of the 2 people could have done to these kids what these 2 men were doing to them. That's all I said. And I even said, boy, idiots are going to give me crap about trying to make this a gay issue. I don't give a crap what you're, for the love of God. Can't fix stupid. Honestly, you know how many people want to take issues and make them into other issues? It's like, wait, no, that's not going to work, right? I want to make this my pet issue. Watch my chat. Watch my chat every day, and you will see hundreds of people a week, right, that write up there, what about the kids? What about the kids? What about the kids? I will do a show about the kids, and none of those people will show up to watch it. It's just the truth. And I don't blame you. I'm not even mad about it, because it's so hard to watch a video about a child being hurt or about 2 kids being hurt. How about kids being adopted, thinking, oh, thank God, right? Someone's going to save us. To find out that that's what you're going into. In fact, you watch the numbers disappear right now. Nobody wants to hear about this. And I don't blame you. But guess what? This is the year that we're going to talk about it. Sorry, not sorry. This is the year we're going to talk about it. This is the year that we're not going to look away. All right? Or you'll watch a lot less of me, because I'm going to talk about this crap all year. And you know what? They can keep demonetizing it too, and I'm still going to keep talking about it. We'll do enough sellout videos. I'm just keeping it real. I can talk about Diddy and get a big paycheck. So we'll just do enough sellout videos that I can keep doing the other ones for free. But we're gonna start asking a bunch of questions, right? Because you know something? They can say stuff like 350,000 kids disappeared. They didn't disappear. They ended up in places that we don't want to hear about, but they didn't disappear. Nobody disappears. You understand? David Copperfield pretends to make shit disappear. He gets rich that way. No one disappears. Some end up dead in landfills, but that's not disappearing. Disappearing sounds nice, right? For real. Abracadabra, waving your hands over some shit, using a curtain, and no one's disappearing. They're being sold into ritualistic sex crap, right? Or they end up in those massage parlors that you drive by in your town. Straight up. You got a rub and tug place in your town. If you think that the girls that are working there because they want to work there, then you just don't understand anything that's going on in this country. You will not find people at those places from your hometown. Everybody that you find working in those places came here from another country. You think that's an accident? Can't fix stupid. I promise you, if you have a massage parlor in your town, and it's not, one of the ones where you walk in and the woman or man says to you, yeah, this is, we do rolfing, we do deep tissue, we do, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's the place that says open 24 hours. If you're getting a massage at 3 a.m. in the morning, it ain't a massage. And those people, they're being trafficked. Every time they raid one, that's what they find. Every single time. Then why don't we raid them every day? Right? We got enough cops. We couldn't raid everyone in America in 2 weeks. I bet we could. And I'll bet we'd find a shitload of those 350,000 kids. Can't fix stupid, but we sure as hell can try. Right? We're going to keep screaming about fixing stupid. The police force in your town could go raid that place. You know how hard it is to find out if one of those is a rub and tug place? Send in any cop you got in blue jeans and a t-shirt, right? He won't even have to approach the person. The person's going to approach him. Pretty simple, right? Those people in there they don't want those jobs. I promise you. They don't want those jobs. Do you know how I know this, people? Huh? Because I used to go to those places. I did. Not particularly proud of that, but I've definitely visited a few of them in my lifetime. They're never, ever, people born in our country that are working there, ever. Usually there's a pretty good language barrier. Sadly, the vocabulary they do know, sorry. You can change who you are, right? And you can change stupid. Can't fix it, but you can change it, I promise. All right? Trying to fix it in other people is really hard, but we're going to have to continue to try. We're going to have to continue to say stuff like, hey, what a woman wears doesn't have anything to do with whether or not somebody assaulted her, right? If you say that, we should be able to hit you with a stick. Hey, White Pip, how are you? You know what? I agree. There are different people. Hold on one second. Tommy, did you see Jesse? Sidebar, Law and Crime Network. Why are the media able to do a Jane Doe autopsy without any problems? Used to be broadcasting act or something. I have not seen that. I have not, but I will absolutely look at that. Tracy Murray, good to see you. Yeah, I am. This one is going to be a little bit shorter than most people, and I would like to go for 2 hours. This is a great topic, and I could literally rant onto it for another hour and a half. Sadly, I feel like there's an elephant standing on my lower back. People's core nature may not be changeable, but their behavior can be changed. If not by their own moral compass, then maybe by the consequences. Well, if we make the consequences enough, right? Simple stuff. You get caught making CP, child, you know what? Life in prison, right? Life in prison. Simple as that. If you get caught manufacturing that stuff, well, it's attempted murder of a soul. That should be life in prison. Plain and simple. That should be life in prison. And watch how many less people start trafficking that shit if they think getting caught with it on their computer will mean that they never get out of the joint. The sickos are still going to do it. But whether this makes any sense to anybody or not, there are people trafficking that stuff that would never touch a kid. They're just scumbags that don't care what they make money on, right? This is just one more product that's easy to sell. Those people need to die. For real. Either in prison or in an electric chair. Sorry, not freaking sorry. You know? It would be a lot easier if we just... It really would. It's it. 112 grains of lead will cure that kind of affliction. They say it can't be cured. I said, you have not met Mr. Colt or Mr. Smith & Wesson. You absolutely can cure this. J.D. DeLay prefers a wood chipper. Any way you want to do it. But get these people off of planet Earth. Right? Makes kids safe again. That would be a pretty decent battle cry, wouldn't it? Let's make kids safe again. That would be lovely. All right, people, that's it. It's a wrap. I wish I could go longer. I quite simply can't. I will see all of you tomorrow. Between now and then, do me a favor and reach out and try to save somebody. God bless. And don't try to stop. Don't continue to try to fix stupid. No matter how frustrating it is, keep trying. God, help us. I can't speak.